From RDS Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we share a personal, positive focus story. One of our advisors got to speak to a young man, and I truly believe he helped change that man's life. We tell the details of that story, and then we go into what our outlook is for the rest of 2025. It's a very positive outlook. We are certainly bullish on America and its markets. The next thing that we discuss is what you should be doing in retirement. If you are close to retirement, as you're approaching retirement, there are some strategic things that you should be doing in your portfolio, and we help you understand what those are. There is no fluff here, not a lot of stories being told. It's just straight and to the point. But I do enjoy these types of shows because it allows the listener some concrete action to take inside of their own portfolio. We'd love an opportunity to talk to you if you have any questions or concerns or need a little bit of assistance in balancing your portfolio. And while this is a timely podcast where we describe and discuss certain things about the market that are only unique to this particular time we're in, I do think that the values of establishing an income plan and managing risk and not having more risk than what's necessary is one that is forever true. And we would love to assist you, no matter when you're listening to this podcast, in making your retirement everything that you've imagined and, of course, helping you build the Live Happy retirement. So without further ado, we're going to jump to this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. I hope you enjoy this show. Like, subscribe, give us an honest review. And if you know of anybody who needs this type of advice now, be sure you send it to them. Sharing this only helps us get our message out to more people. Enjoy this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well and you are ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. On today's show, we are going to discuss where we are in the markets. We have had a crazy week this week. A lot of money has been made this week, and it all really revolves around a breakthrough in the trade war that just took place this past week. We're going to give you a lot of information about what that looks like and what we expect as a firm going forward in 2025. I'm excited about that section, and you will be too. A lot of good information there, including what you should be doing as we see this market rebound take place. What should you be doing with your portfolio? And we're going to bring you a quick story that happened in one of our offices just this week about a client who is working with a growth advisor and why it makes sense to be working with an income advisor as you enter into income phase. All of that is coming in this show this week, and I can't wait to get to it. We've got a lot to get to, so let's jump through right now the pause for positivity. And unlike most weeks, I hardly ever bring stories about clients in our pause for positivity, but I've got to bring this one. And this is not a client. This is a gentleman who called into our office, and one of our advisors was able to speak with him, and I've got to share this story. If you are listening right now, the young man who called in, I do want to tell you that we are proud of you. We're excited for what life has to offer you, and we are going to continue to pray with you about the situations that you shared. But I'm going to tell you a very general and brief overview of what took place and why I'm bringing this to you in the Pause for Positivity section will likely make a lot of sense to you if you know anything about our firm and who we are and what we believe. We preach living happy in life. In retirement specifically, we help retirees walk away from the worries, the fears, the stress and anxiety of whether I can or can't retire. When should I take Social Security? How should I pay taxes? What am I going to do about long-term care expenses? And how do I make sure that income appears every single month, no matter what the stock market is doing? All of those fears and worries can be alleviated, allowing our clients to walk into retirement life and impact the generations around them. We envision a world where retirees can retire and live a meaningful life with the ones they love, making memories with those people and not concerning themselves about their money any longer, no more than they do while they're working. And, we're going to talk later in the show about how that is difficult if you're working with the wrong set of skills, the wrong set of tools, or the wrong set of plans. But for us, we specialize in that area. And we end almost every broadcast with save money, plan well, and live happy. Our message is living happy. Whether it's because we are working with you or not, we want the world to be a beautiful, happy place. And that's why we have this pause for positivity section in the beginning. Too much negativity in the world, too much darkness in this world. We want to shine some light in any way we can. And it's encouraging to me to hear that our message is resonating with people. Here at RDS Wealth, our entire team spends time together growing, not only in our faith spiritually, but growing interpersonally, being able to impact those people around us in a positive way. And the only way to do that is to be rooted and grounded in the absolute truth of Christ and to be able to share that love with others in your own way, of course. But knowing that that is the team's mission makes me happy. It's what gets me up every day, knowing that I've got a team here at RDS Wealth that is supporting our worldview. It's a team's worldview that people can truly live with purpose, with meaning, and live happy in retirement. Now, this message, again, is something we put everywhere. And this is not just a slogan. This is a life motto. And someone heard this advertisement and called into the office. Now, when they called into the office, they reached one of our front office support staff there, and they were able to talk to a young lady. I won't mention our team members' names here because this is the embodiment of our entire team. But one of our young ladies over in the Bowling Green office picked up the phone and was able to discuss a few things with this particular individual. And just like we always do, we ask those questions to make sure we're getting a person to the right department or to the right advisor or whatever it may be, just helping make sure that we get them to the right place. And as she began to discuss things with this young man, she realized that this gentleman needed more than just advice on his money. As a matter of fact, it was likely that this gentleman had no investments whatsoever to speak of, but he just needed some time. He needed someone to talk to. So she forwarded this gentleman over to one of our advisors on the team who, again, I won't mention names because this is the heart of our entire team. But the advisor that was taking this call began to discuss a few things with the young man and realized, sure enough, he had no 401k or IRA that was set back. He wasn't really to, quote unquote, retire. He was a young man. But he made mention that he was just tired of living the life, and that he had heard our advertisement about living happy and thought he would give us a call just to chat. And what was scheduled to be a 15-minute phone call turned into a 1 hour plus long phone call of one of our advisors just discussing life and situations with this young man and being able to help him maybe see the more optimistic point of view from life. Helping him craft a plan, if you will, for what the next steps could look like. Looking for churches in his area. Now, I won't even give you the location of this young man, but I'm going to tell you it's not in any of the cities of our offices. We have an office in Campbellsville. We have an office in Bowling Green. And we service the entire area of South Central Kentucky and North Central Tennessee. And when I heard this story, when I heard what had happened, when I heard how our team handled this situation, this soul who was just longing for a little bit of companionship, longing for a little bit of socialization, it touched me to the point where I knew I had to bring this to the listening audience for one simple reason. I'm proud that it was our team. I am blessed that I'm able to lead a team of people like this who have a heart for people, not for making money, but a heart for people, allowing people to be the best version of themselves. That's our true mission here on earth, is to share the love of Christ and allow them to be the best version of themselves, which we believe involves being centered around Christ. But when I hear this story, what I hear is that mankind still has a heart for their fellow man, that we are still a good people at heart, and that some people just need people. Some people just need your time. We've said this in Pause for Positivities in past, and we've used anecdotes, and we've used similes and analogies and metaphors and the whole 9 yards. We've been able to illustrate this fact that sometimes you don't have to do the extraordinary thing. You just have to do the ordinary thing extraordinarily well. And our service team and our advisor embodied that. They didn't have to deliver a TED Talk worthy delivery of why you should be optimistic about life. Our advisor is not Tony Robbins, who is going to deliver some sort of positive message that is delivered to millions of people on a daily basis. It was a one-on-one situation where this man just needed a little bit of human interaction. He just needed someone else to say, life is worth living. He needed our advisor to help him find and even invite the man to church. He needed a friend, a brother. And here's what I know. Again, if you're listening to this young man who called in, you know who you are. We don't have calls like this very often. As a matter of fact, I can't think of one quite like this ever. But what I do know is that if you live life in an optimistic point of view, looking for lives to change, looking for someone to touch along the way, you will find them. At RDS Wealth, we call this the red car theory, which is a theory that if you're looking for it, you will see it. What you're looking for, you will see. You may have heard us describe this in Positive Focuses in the past, but this is that red car theory coming to life. And I had to share that story. Again, this is not to brag on one individual of our team or even to brag on our team, but to encourage you to do the ordinary thing extraordinarily well this week and to spread the love of Christ to those who may be so desperately in need, but just unable to say the words. Let's go through life today and this week, making this world a better place. I believe you can because I know what kind of people you are. And young man, if you're listening, we're going to continue to pray for you, with you, and we look forward to hearing some optimistic and positive news from you in the future. All right, that is our Pause for Positivity. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with some retirement matters. We're going to discuss what's going on in this market and how we expect things to behave over the next 3 to 6 months. Coming right back after this short break.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of RDS Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
Welcome back to the show. Let's jump into what we've got going on in the market. On Monday, there was an announcement right before the bell rang to open the markets that China and United States had officially struck some sort of a deal. It was the start of a deal, and we've got about 90 days to finalize this deal. In the process, tariffs were lowered, and the market reacted very favorably to that. We had a historic day, Monday and Tuesday, very, very strong days, opening of the week, and a lot of people have made some serious money over the last few days. And what I want to do is give a little bit of insight on what we expect to have happen closing out the rest of this year, we're not quite halfway through the year, but we are approaching the back half of the year. In just a few months, we'll be into June and July, and you're looking now at entering into the back half of 2025. The beginning of 2025 has certainly been rocky, to say the least. It started with extreme optimism around the Donald Trump presidency, and it's hard to believe that we've only had a President Trump 2.0, if you will. The second presidency of Donald Trump is only a few months old. It feels as if years worth of news has been delivered to us in such a short period of time, which is in part why there has been such turbulence in the market. But I'm going to tell you right now that over the next 3 to 6 months, you will see more trade deals become finalized. China will finalize their trade deal with the United States, and that will be major tailwinds for the U.S. stock market. We're also likely to see rates lowered sometime in July or August, maybe even 2 rate lowering events in the year 2025, and that will help the United States stock market. We are likely to see the tax bill finally pass that makes 2017's tax cuts, which were Donald Trump's masterpiece in 2017, now making them permanent, making them the law of the land. With that tax reform, likely seeing things done on tax on tips, tax on overtime, and there will be a table discussion around the taxation of Social Security. All of this will help Middle America. We are likely to even see radical tax proposals put on the table that may not be passed, but at least begin discussions around significant tax reduction on Middle America. Also, tax reduction on corporate America. Now, that may seem like it's going to benefit only the one percenters, if you will, but corporate taxes being lower means that more companies are likely to bring their operations back to America. We may see industries that we thought were long gone back in the United States, which means more jobs for more Americans. And whether or not Americans are willing or desiring to go back to work, there's been talks of a work requirement for Medicaid recipients, those who are able-bodied. I would be in support of that. And I think you've got to consider this type of activity being positive for the United States markets. It is certainly going to be positive for the United States economy. Tariffs have not caused inflation, according to some reports that we saw on Tuesday. The CPI, which is a core indicator of how inflation is measured across the United States, called the Consumer Price Index. The CPI printed a flat, no movement number, and that wasn't quite as expected just a few months ago. When tariffs were announced on April the 2nd, you would have expected inflation to be off the rails by now if you listen to the quote-unquote experts in the room. And while we may have seen some inflation in some areas, across the board, inflation has risen by the slowest rate since 2021. In other words, inflation has not been this under control since 2021, and we all know what took place in 22 and 23. As the price of everything skyrocketed. So what we've got to consider here so far is job well done. We have to consider that America is likely on a track towards success. The S&P 500, very close to where it started the year. By the end of the year, we expect the S&P 500 to be higher than it started 2025, maybe even pushing into higher highs than it's ever seen before. Historic highs. This type of activity, again, all being tailwinds for the average investor, means that there should be some activity taking place inside of your portfolio. If you have not already positioned your account for income phase, now is the time to do some very strategic moves inside of your portfolio. If you're less than 5 years away from retirement income, be considering transitioning your portfolio into a retirement income portfolio, especially with the market doing what it's doing right now. We're going to discuss that in the next section. I've just got to tell you that overall, the U.S. economy, just like we said last week, the tides are turning. We feel them turning, and it is starting to feel very optimistic. You should be investing your portfolio in a way based off of your income plan to take advantage of the optimism that is pent up in the market right now. If we actually see rates cut and we actually see the trade war start to settle and we see deregulation in the corporate environment, you are going to want to be involved in this economic boom that we will likely see follow. The United States is exceptional. I've never lost hope in that message. But American exceptionalism is on the rise. And American exceptionalism very likely will lead us into the next economic boom of the century. You heard it here first, but you've probably heard it in other places too. But I support that thesis. I am a believer that what we are seeing take place right now is something that needed to happen for a long time. The trade deficits had to be rebalanced. Could they have been done a little bit more tactfully? Of course they could. We could have established a coalition of countries to go against China, but instead we attacked everybody. And thankfully, it seems as if everyone wants to get in line to make a deal because they know America currently is the strongest nation in the world. And I believe that this administration's number one goal is to keep us there. I'm not here to debate politics. My job is to establish a plan for navigating retirement successfully, no matter who is in office or what administration is in power. But I am going to tell you that what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is likely a wake-up call for so many people. If you were concerned about your portfolio a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago in the lows of the market, deep into the month of April, if you were concerned, then we need to be making some moves right now in that portfolio to make sure that you are still on track, no matter what happens. I could be dead wrong about the United States economy. It could collapse tomorrow. We could go to war with North Korea. There could be nukes flying over our heads in just a matter of hours. That's the uncertainty that we live in today. But what I'm reading in the tea leaves right now means we want to be a part of the United States economy. Whether I'm wrong or right, we can establish your portfolio to weather the storm and live happy in retirement. We're going to show you a few strategic moves you need to be making on the back half of this break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by RDS Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into some moves that you need to be making inside of your portfolio halfway through 2025. We're seeing ourselves come out of a pretty nasty sell-off in the market, perhaps even historic sell-offs that we saw on April the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That was following an announcement on April the 2nd of tariffs, widespread tariffs across the world, really, and some of the United States' key trading partners. We came out guns blazing. And within just a few weeks, things had settled. We saw the bond market really start to get weak. The United States came out and kind of showed its cards just a little bit, saying, hey, we're willing to negotiate, and countries started getting in line. China recently got in line to make a trade deal, and with that, the market has reacted very favorably. So with this being said, what should you be doing? Well, if you felt yourself concerned about your portfolio as we saw the market begin to sell off, if you felt that you were concerned at all for any reason, you need to be analyzing that now. What I'm telling you is that if you saw the stock market news and thought, oh no, for any reason whatsoever, you need to be sitting down with your advisor to discuss that in greater detail. It may require an immediate action. It may require a gradual action, and it may require no action at all, depending on what the reason was. For many people, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, maybe you're approaching your 60, even 62, you may be considering yourself close to retirement and you're concerned that the stock market is going to take your retirement wishes away, meaning that you are no longer able to retire the way you desire because the stock market had a bad couple of weeks or months or, God forbid, years. If that's the case, we, RDS Wealth, need to talk to you soon because now is a golden opportunity for us to reevaluate where you are in your portfolio. You need to be putting together an income plan and knowing how much money you need for retirement and how much money you're going to see coming in from other sources in retirement. You need to be able to know when to take Social Security in the most optimal way, and we need to know if you have enough money right now to retire. It's likely that with just normal progression in the market, not having to take excessive risk, you may be able to retire. And then we would ask you, why are we putting so much risk into the stock market? Why are you putting your money to risk when you have, in essence, won the game? Let's take those chips off the table and be more protective with those, making sure that we can at least return every dollar at 100 cents on the dollar. And if we're lucky, maybe we're 107 or 108 cents on the dollar. But the last thing we want is for what should be $1 to return only 80 or 85 cents. In other words, we know that losses hurt you more than gains help you at a certain point in your retirement journey. And losses hurting you more than gains help you means that by analyzing this in the form of an income plan, putting that income plan together allows us to know how much risk we should have in your investment plan. Too many people lead with the investment plan thinking, what can make me the most money? And understanding there's risk, but not really understanding how much risk can impact them until events take place like April the 2nd, 2025. When the market sells off 10 or 15% and you are now down 10 or 15%, are you still able to retire? Well, it's likely that that type of loss close enough to retirement will derail anyone's plans. So let's build a portfolio that allows you to participate in the optimism of the stock market. When the market is good, you're good. But also protect against the market downturns and decorrelate, fancy word, decorrelate on those market downward trends. In other words, when the market makes money, you can make money, but when the market loses money, the money you've made is safe. This type of strategy allows us to steadily climb up the retirement growth mountain if you're still on that side, and it definitely allows us a safe place to pull income in a down market. The number one rule of investing is never lose money. The number two rule of investing is never forget rule number one. And if you are selling stocks at a loss to be able to generate the income that you desire and require, then you are losing money. We can help you keep from doing that. We help you at RDS Wealth by starting with an income plan. Now, you can set up a 15-minute phone call with our team very simply by going to rdswealth.com, rdswealth.com. Go to rdswealth.com, set up a very simple 15-minute phone call with one of our advisors. We will call you when the time is convenient for you. You set up the time. Or you can simply come into our office by giving us a call, 270-600-PLAN, set up a full 1-hour block of time, both of which are completely no charge to you. Being able to set up that time and see, am I on track and should I be making some adjustments? It is very likely that you should be reevaluating your risk right now in your portfolio because we are seeing market valuations return to a fair valuation. This is something that we should be considering in this type of moment, not in the lows of the market. In this moment, we should be looking at how much risk we need to take to get to where we want to go, and then rebalancing our portfolio to meet that amount of risk. No more and no less. In other words, if you need a 4% rate of return to accomplish your objectives, then why are you putting your money to risk in hopes that you can get 7 or 10% rate of return? Because with a 10% rate of return target, it sounds really good when the market's good, but when the market turns sour or it has a bad day, You could lose a lot of sleep, not to mention a lot of money. This is where we help you build the Live Happy retirement system. The Live Happy retirement is built around a portfolio that we call the risk on, risk off portfolio. You have money that is at risk. You have money that is at no risk. These together grow and provide sources of income in the future when the time is needed, no matter what the market conditions are giving us. This allows you to walk into retirement confidently, knowing that you can retire the way you desire, no matter what the stock market is doing, and you can live in retirement living happy. All right, and that sound means we got to wrap this up, but we know that retirement is not just about the investment plan and the income plan. There's a lot more that goes to that. We have to pay the taxes. We've got to make sure we're taking care of the healthcare expenses, and navigating Medicare sometimes is just as complicated. We can assist you in that. But in the current market conditions, now is the time to revisit your investment plan, reevaluate how much risk you are okay with, how much risk you need, and then rebalance that risk accordingly. You need to be doing that now, not waiting, not considering it. Do it now. This consultation could change the way that you retire, meaning the difference between a Live Happy retirement and a What If retirement. We can show you how. 270-600-PLAN, or jump on our website, rdswealth.com, and schedule a time with one of our advisors. Can't wait to see you. I love talking to you each and every week, whether it's next time right here on the same station or it's in person in our offices. Always remember to save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and RDS Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RDS Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RDS Wealth Management.